Let there be light. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about underwater dive lights, and more specifically, these Sola Pro 15000s by Light&Motion. Now, if you've been following me on Instagram for a while or on this channel, you'll know that I've always shot exclusively with natural light, back when I shot on GoPro and even now when I'm on my Sony a7R III. And that's been great. I've been able to capture some really cool images playing with just the natural light that I've had, both free diving and scuba diving. Now, sometimes, and especially when scuba diving at depth, the lack of light coming down into the water column means that I have to bump the ISO up quite high, leading to grainy images and videos. By adding in an external source of light, we can bring back those natural warm tones with the underwater light and get rid of those annoying aquas and blues, which is what you typically see in videos and images shot at depth underwater. Now, Light&Motion were incredibly kind enough to send me these lights for me to test out and give you guys an honest review. So first things first, let me show you how it arrives and what you get in the kit. So I have the Double Dive Sola Video Pro 15000 kit, which comes in this amazing little travel bag. It's easy to pack in any suitcase or even in a duffel bag, and I've taken it with me recently on my trip to Mozambique, which is where I tested out these lights for the first time. Now, inside of the bag, you get two of these Sola Pro 15000 dive lights with these protective caps. We'll come back to these in a sec. You also get two of these blue filters to add to the lights as well. Now, I think you use these when you're at quite some depth to get some color back in. I haven't had a chance to test these out yet, but I will do in the future when I do some more deep dives. They also come with two charging cables as well, so you can charge both lights simultaneously. One thing to note is that they are an American company, so the plug is an American style plug. So if you're European or from the UK like I am, you just need to get a small adapter to enable you to be able to charge the lights. Now let's talk about the lights themselves. They come with this protective orange rubber cap on top, which is really handy. When you're transporting your camera rig in and out of boats, it really helps to stop from getting scratches on the front of the light. Now, the first thing you notice when you get these in your hand is just how well built they are. They've got a decent amount of weight to them, probably about 500-600 grams, and they just feel sturdy. The on-off switch is on the top here, and you turn it on just by flicking this little yellow lever. It's got a well-lit LED screen on the back that tells you how many minutes of battery you have left and how many lumens you're currently outputting light. Now, to increase the amount of light output, you can flick the lever up to increase it by 5,000 in one go, or hold it to increase it more gradually. The same goes in reverse if you want to decrease the amount of lumens as well. Now, these lights top out at 15,000 lumens, hence the name Sola Pro Video 15000. They also go down to a minimum of 500 lumens for those occasions where you don't need so much intense lighting. Now, the lights come with a ball joint at the bottom, and this is what you use to attach the lights to your camera rig. Now, in order to do so, you're going to need a pair of these ball joint clamps. I bought these off Amazon and they're pretty readily available. All you have to do is attach one side of these to the lights and the other side to the ball joint on your camera rig or the tray that you use along with your camera rig. Now, as you can see here from when I was testing the lights out in Mozambique recently, I attached the lights directly to my camera rig, but this isn't ideal. By having the lights attached here, it really took some playing around with the light intensity and the angle of the lights to be able to get usable images and videos. As you can see from some of these images shot in the first few days of shooting like this, with the lights attached directly to the camera, the angle wasn't right, and it meant that I was lighting up all the particles in the water in front of the subject instead of the actual subject itself. This made for some pretty blurry images because my camera couldn't really focus on the actual subject, and also it was just bringing up all the particles in the water column, making for images that are almost unusable. Now, I did play around with it a little bit and played around with the intensity and managed to twist them around to be able to get some cool images like this. The videos were a little bit more tricky. My GoPro, which is normally attached on the top, was definitely picking up all the particles being lit up by the lights instead of actually focusing on the subject, and it was really struggling. On my actual camera, which is a little bit further away from the lights, I managed to focus on the subject a few times and get some decent clips. Now, Mozambique itself does have quite a lot of particles in the water just in general, so it's not the best place to get clean images. But if you compare these images that I took this year with the lights to last year without any lights in the same places, you can see what a big difference it makes. The biggest difference that you notice is the amount of color grading that you have to do. Last year's images, which were all shot on natural light, require a lot of color grading just to bring back some warm tones, and they're not always the cleanest of images. The amount of light that you're putting in brings back all those natural colors of the underwater light, which means that the amount of color grading that you need to do is minimalized. Now, thankfully, I had a friend coming out to Mozambique, and I got him to bring me out a pair of these metal arms. Now, these arms are what you use to get the lights further away from the camera and make sure that you put the light in between you and the subject. You attach these the same way you attach the actual lights, just with another pair of ball clamps. Now, having a pair of arms like these gives so much more freedom in the positioning of the light. Now, positioning of the lights is a huge deal and something that I'm still trying to get to grips with. Now, I think that naturally our brains just think that we need to have both lights in the exact same position, symmetrical, in order to get good shots. Now, the truth is actually quite the opposite. What I found is that you want to play with the positioning of each individual arm separately to go with whatever scenario you're photographing in that moment. Now, I think this is definitely something that you get more familiar with the more you play around with the lightings and the settings on the actual lightings themselves, as well as the positionings, and then understanding how that interacts with your camera. I managed to get some pretty cool images whilst testing these lights out in Mozambique. I'm pretty proud with these shots that I took. Now, when it comes to the footage, it's definitely still a work in progress, but that's mainly due to the amount of particles there are in the water in Mozambique and also me getting used to the positioning. Having said that, I did manage to get some nice shots as well, and it's definitely making color grading the footage in post-production a lot easier having these lights. In terms of the battery life of these lights, they are great. Off a full charge, if you, for whatever reason, want to blast the lights at 15,000 lumens, you're still getting a good 20 to 30 minutes of usage out of them. Now, realistically, you're more than likely only going to be using it at about half that intensity, somewhere between the 5 and 10,000 lumen mark. And at that kind of intensity, you're going to get a good 45 minutes to well over an hour use out of each light. The sturdy build of them makes them great for withstanding the wear and tear of going on dive trips. And if they can withstand what we go through to get out onto a dive site in Mozambique, they're pretty good to be used anywhere in the world. Now, one thing to consider about these lights, and some people might consider this a con, but it really depends on your personal preference, is how much they weigh and how much the entire kit will weigh as well in your suitcase. Now, all in all, between the two lights and the accessories and the bag, you're adding probably about 2.5 to 4 kilos into your luggage. Now, I personally don't find that bad at all, and for the extra little bit of weight, you're actually getting super durable and rugged lights. If you see my previous review videos on my underwater housing, you'll know that it's actually super buoyant, and I usually attach probably 2 to 3 kilos to the bottom of it. Attaching both these lights and the arms has meant that my housing is now effectively neutrally buoyant, which is great. So for me personally, the added little bit of weight doesn't make so much of a difference. Now, one thing to note when charging these lights is when you plug the cord into the back of the lights, it's going to ask you to turn the lights on in order to commence charging. So don't just plug in the lights and walk away without turning the lights on, otherwise you're going to wake up in the morning for your dive with uncharged lights. Honestly, I haven't really found any flaws whilst testing these lights out so far. They're super user-friendly and they've made such a massive impact to my underwater photography and videography. I'd honestly recommend these to anyone looking to step up their underwater videography game. I know it is a big step up, not just in knowledge and learning, but also in price as well. But if you think video lights are the next step in your underwater photography and videography journey, I definitely recommend you check out the Sola Video Pro 15000s. A massive thank you to Light&Motion Dive for sending me these lights and for supporting me. I can't wait to continue using them and to continue sharing the shots that I get with all of you. If you're interested in getting some dive lights, I'm going to leave their link in the description below. Go and check them out. They've got an array of different dive lights for different standards and different price points as well. So maybe there's something in there for you. That's it for this video. Hopefully it's been helpful and it's given you some insight into what it's like shooting with underwater dive lights for the first time. And who knows, maybe it's giving you that itch to get out there and get some lights yourself and get shooting. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.